Greetings, this is DMT Journal, Lucid Dream and Spiritual Stories, and today I got a treat for y'all. I believe I said in the past that I do have a dream journal, and not everything makes an official entry, especially because of recall reasons, and some are just rhetorical scenarios and situations that I don't find to have any real value. However, lots of my rhetorical dreams is what I pay the most attention to, in fact. And that's what brings us here today. So I had this dream about a week ago from this upload date, and I must say it's probably one of my favorite dreams. But to give proper context to it, the setting of the dream is incredibly rhetorical, and it's of an older house that I used to live in the Brunswick area of Gary, Indiana. For the most part, it's where most of my teenage memories are, and it's also the house that my brothers and I, all of my siblings actually, claim to be the best house we've ever stayed in. We haven't physically lived in the house in about 10 years now, but if I look at my experiences that I have when I dream, and also the vibes that I pick up when I actually visit the street nowadays, which I often do, there seems to be an apparent connection spiritually that I have with that area. In fact, I would even go further to say that I believe that the house is haunted. So I have rhetorical dream scenarios in which I still live in the house, and I'm often the victim of ghost encounters, random home invasions, and even finding homeless people nesting in the basement. I think the most interesting part of these dreams is the fact that I know I no longer live in the house, which often grants me lucidity, but it also convinces me that I might potentially be attached to someone or something else that is harboring around that area. So without further ado, let's get into the official dream journal entry, which I think serves as a compelling short story. Disclaimer: I promise you, none of this is fabricated. So let's get into the story that I called, in my official dream journal, I Met Lucy on Hovey. I was walking down my old street with my phone in my hand as if it were a fancy camera or camcorder when I approached the house that I used to live in about 10 years ago. I regularly had strange dreams about this house all the time, so perhaps between being a self-proclaimed blogger and just wanting to put the curiosity to rest, I approached the house ready to ask questions. Though my knock was reluctant, it was also kind of loud. However, I got exactly what I wanted, a response that I kind of anticipated. A brown-skinned female of the average height for women answered the door with her 3 kids in the back of her, and initially she was furious. She was so mad that it was hard to tell if it was because of the knocking or merely being bothered at all, but somehow she was able to quickly switch her attitude and politely greeted me. I told her that I was a journalist that used to stay in the house and just wanted to ask questions about her experiences there. I first informed her of how my past went in the house, from childhood memories to even paranormal encounters that I had in dreams, before asking her if she liked living in the house. She compared it to an apartment complex that I used to stay in, which was arguably the farthest point from here in the city, but she mistakenly had the house close in her mind. When I tried to correct her, she innocently suggested that maybe they built another complex before laughing dismissively at herself. At any rate, the comparison wasn't the best, but since she was making the best of what she had, it all sort of made sense. At this point, I felt like I was stalling the main focus of my blogging work, and I didn't want her to become irritated again, so I rushed into my next question, the good one. Have you had any paranormal experiences in this house? I asked. She was almost instantly relieved by being asked a question, as if she was dying to tell these experiences to someone who would understand. Yeah, all the time, she responded, and she went on to give examples. She discussed shadow figures and demonstrated weird phenomena she experienced with inanimate objects, but the part that stumped me the most was when she discussed the dreams she had. As she spoke about these sequences, I remembered in detail that I experienced the exact same dreams about this house. The most ironic part was that this is where I consciously acknowledged other dreams I had within this one. At this point, we established a connection that felt genuine and comfortable despite peculiar circumstances bringing us together, but I stayed focused on the task at hand, which was to document the information I had just collected. This is where things took a dark turn. As we exchanged what we thought would be closing statements, I asked her for her name. That way I could properly give her credit within the blog for her help. She then gave me a look that comically spelled, "You don't even want to know, but you already do know." Something about that response gave me incredibly strong intuition, and I proposed the name with the utmost certainty. Lucy? I asked hysterically. She confirmed this with a gentle smile, followed by nodding her head. I thought of the obvious first. This name is often an abbreviation for Lucifer, who is collectively known to be an evil trickster. I pondered, but I ultimately gave her the benefit of the doubt and called it all coincidence. As I gathered to depart, I noticed her walking me to the street as the children waved from the window. Two men had just walked past us before we got to the street, and one of them turned their attention toward the children in the window. "You little badass kids," he playfully yelled at them, as if it was something he regularly did that the mother was okay with. I didn't think anything of it other than neighbors having a fun and unique way of bonding, so I studied the reactions of Lucy and her children. Lucy, who looked irritated by the people, threw a hand up aggressively toward them and proceeded to ignore them. The children, on the other hand, yelled back with vulgar language in unison in an almost alien-sounding pitch. Somehow, one of the men seen both reactions as a red flag, as if a code has been broken, and proceeded to pull out a handgun and pursue me on foot. Lucy ran away first, which prompted me to run. Somehow I still ended up in front of her, but fatigued out about half a block away in the alley of the house. I fell on the ground nearly intentionally and told myself, I'm tired now. He's just going to have to kill me. The man caught up to me around the same time that Lucy did, and he went on to fire 3 shots in my direction. Somehow, it was obvious to me that he missed me, but in his eyes, he had fatally wounded me, which led to an angry stare down. He then turned around and shot twice at Lucy, presumably killing her, before casually walking away. Me laying there wondering if I was dead or not created enough conscious focus for me to wake up in real life, which led to much needed clarity. The ironic realization that I had was that even though I vented about the peculiar dreams that tied me to the house with Lucy, this was actually no different. In fact, it might be the most significant one. I know I'll have more dreams like this at that house, but I am left to wonder whether or not I just escaped death or even Lucifer himself. So that's it. I met Lucy on Hovey, and I apologize for not being the most animated storyteller, but I could not rehearse this. I am a full-time college student who's running a much bigger channel, so I definitely enjoy this type of content more because it's more true to my spirit. And I do have lots of other content on the way, but I try to keep everything authentic. So this was a real dream, and the fact is, I went on to have maybe 2 more dreams in this house since then. If you think you might know what's causing this, then feel free to give me advice. Feel free to enlighten me on what is actually going on. Is it something in my subconscious? Is it something spiritually? Is it something on my conscious mind, perhaps, that's triggering me or triggering these things on the subconscious level? Do you think it's some kind of spiritual phenomena, or it's completely normal and maybe I'm just too focused on my dreams? Which leads to me trying to analyze and conclude things unnecessarily. Whatever you may think, you're free to type it in the comments. Please like, share the video, subscribe if you didn't already. I'm DMT Journal, and I hope you enjoy.